Hello guys and welcome to my new video, and today we'll be talking about the MDI drama. We'll be continuing with this, and we'll be looking at the NA regions, we'll be looking at the North American regions and the APAC as well, because this weekend we saw a bit of both. You have to consider that the APAC region had a lot of disconnect issues last couple of weeks ago, so they had to remake some of the games and they were shown this weekend, so we'll look at that a bit as well. First of all, big congratulations to Method NA and Team Omega Snipe for qualifying to the next group stages, so we'll see how they will do. First of all, I was talking a lot about the drama, but I want to cover some of the positive things that happened in MDI. MDI has seen a lot of really interesting, really nail-biting games, and one of my favorite games was coming from APAC, was Free Marcy, who were the reigning champions, who won it last year against Goldstrutters, and this was the grand final in the region. This was the first game, this was Seed of Triumvirate. And you can see at the bottom right hand corner, basically the very first poll, the very big poll in Seed of Triumvirate, Free Marcy kind of messed that up. They messed that up really badly. They had 14 deaths. So if you're not aware of the fact that every death in MDI will add 5 seconds on top of your finishing time, so that was 70 extra seconds from the first poll. So it was unbelievable. I was like, this is over. Free Marcy, you're gonna lose this. We're gonna see how they're gonna do in the second game. Goldstrutters is a good team. They won't let they will optimize the run. They will get through this. So I'm watching the game. Both of the teams doing really well until the last boss. So when the last boss comes in, Free Marcy has 18 deaths in total. Goldstrutters has 8 deaths. So that's overall a 45-second differential. So Free Marcy basically have to kill the boss 45 seconds before Goldstrutters. So what happens basically is that when they go into the boss fight, Free Marcy actually only has 99% in terms of trash, so they kind of miscalculated, but you can see that they optimize their DPS. They optimize the DPS during the phases where the boss takes extra damage, and they end up killing the boss quite quickly. And you can see them running out of the dungeon, running out of the boss area, and trying to find that last mob that will give them that 1%, because they need to get 100%. So they find a mob on like in the very corner. They actually end up killing the mob, getting 100%, and now they have to wait to see if Goldstrutters are going to kill the boss 45 seconds slower than that. And that's exactly what happens. This was a nail-biting game. It was so exciting. You didn't know what was going to happen. Free Marcy came back with some style, and I have to say that Free Marcy is looking extremely strong. They end up going to qualification stages. They end up winning Goldstrutters. They're looking extremely strong, and these games really kind of make you, feel the love for the game and feel the love for the competition as well. And on the other hand, you have to go back to the NA and see some of the crazy games that we saw. We saw Paris Culture versus Stupid Mistakes. A very fitting name for this team. A very fitting name, because they lost the first game. They lost the first game in the lower bracket, so they get to pick the next map, and they pick Seed of Triumvirate. And they also get to pick the third affix. And they pick Necrotic on a Seed of Triumvirate 23. And I'm like, okay, these guys must know exactly what they're doing. Seed of Triumvirate, Necrotic, there's going to be some crazy strats coming out here. What happened is that they had no idea. They had no idea. They had 61 deaths before they killed the first boss. It took them 22 minutes to kill the first boss. They had overall 63 deaths in the dungeon. The game went in full screen showing Paris Culture, and when the game goes full screen, it means that the team, the second team, is way behind with no chance of coming back. And that happened like 5 minutes into the dungeon. This was kind of a meme fest where Stupid Mistakes just kept, like, they were learning the dungeon as they go. And later on, there were reports, there were screenshots of the chat messages. It was basically reported that Stupid Mistakes had no idea what they're doing. They didn't even care what they were doing. They even asked the Blizzard admins, what is the maximum wipes allowed before being forced out of the dungeon? And the admin was like, this is not a good sign. This is definitely not a good sign. There's also people saying that the only reason they didn't care about anything, they just wanted to get past the time trials, and when you get past the time trials, you get certain amount of money. So basically, they wanted to get that money, and in the regional stages, they were basically YOLOing everything. They didn't know anything. It was entertainment at its best, but at the same time, kind of sad to see. I want to hear your comments about this. Was this fun, or was this just kind of bad for the competition, where the teams don't even care about the dungeon, they're just doing it for the memes. I'm not completely sure about this yet. It was something different, definitely. So now let's move on to the biggest thing that happened, that is method versus limit drama. And there is a lot of side to this. There is a lot of like Twitter drama happening. Quite a few different people are kind of chiming in on this as well. And now what happened? What exactly happened? So method and limit were battling in the upper bracket. They had the third game. So they had a third game. They won one game each. So now we're going to Lower Karazhan. This game will decide who goes to the next stage. This is very, very important. Like I said, it's Lower Karazhan with Grievous. And that is very important because it does affect the bug that happened. So I'm not sure but it's a bug or not, but we'll talk about that later on. So first of all, let's talk about Maiden of Virtue, because that's what the bug happens. Maiden of Virtue will stun everybody. It's called Mass Repentance. Will stun everybody. And the only way to get out of the stun is to actually take any kind of damage. And in order to take any kind of damage, you kind of have to stand on the bad stuff. And the bad stuff is sacred ground. So you want to stand on the sacred ground for like a second, get this debuff. The debuff will do damage to you. And then when Mass Repentance happens, the debuff that does damage to you will break you out. And straight after that, the boss should start casting Holy Wrath, which needs to be interrupted. So what happened in the dungeon? We see that JB, the rest of Druid, right before the Mass Repentance is applied, he gets the Sacred Ground debuff, but he also has Grievous on him. So what happens is that Grievous takes him out of the Mass Repentance very early. So you're the only one person that's actually not stunned. And Maiden melees him and kills him in one shot. And JB dies. They don't have res, so basically they still end up killing the boss, but it was very, very long and it was very unfortunate. So first impression, this is a bug, because straight after Mass Repentance, Maiden should cast Holy Wrath, and that should be interrupted after a certain amount of damage is done to it. So I'm like, Maiden should not melee anybody here. This is definitely a bug. This is just bad. The problem is that the remake wasn't called straight away. So when Limit was about to basically clear the whole dungeon, 99% of trash mobs, all the bosses killed, the remake is called then. So if you look at the time, you can see that Limit would have finished the dungeon around 15 minutes 30, 15 minutes 20 seconds, or something around that time. So it's actually a very clean run for Limit. Now, they end up doing a remake, and in the remake, Method NA won. They finished the dungeon with 17 minutes 06. So you can see that both teams in the remake did not have the best of runs. So you can see that Limit players are very, very upset. If Limit did the first run with 15 minutes, I feel that the most appropriate action would have been, okay, Limit, you had a clear run. Let's keep your time. Method NA, unfortunately, you had a bug. Do the Lower Karazhan again by yourselves, and we'll see what time you can do, and then we'll judge it. You don't have to punish Limit for having a nice run. So that's what I felt like straight away. It was very unfortunate that actually Method didn't counter this book, but now you can see the rage of the Limit players, you can see the rage of other players, and you saw this in terms of Twitter. So Zyronic, who is actually a member of Limit Guild, but he's also part of MDI, but not part of the Limit MDI team. He's actually part of the Team Omega Snipe, who actually ended up qualifying. But he basically made a tweet where he said that no way that was a bug. Team Method should know that this was not a bug, and they should not have called it as a bug, and it should not have been a remake, and Limit should have went through to the next stage. He did apologize about this later on, because it was a heated moment. It was right after when it happened. You know, you can't control your emotions, whatever, things like that. So people were angry. People were calling out people on Twitter and things like that. So it was actually interesting to see that kind of thing happening. But now there has been some reports that maybe this is not even a bug. Maybe Maiden meleeing after Repentance is not. It happens. Maybe Blizzard doesn't intend it to happen, but the same exact thing kind of happened. Dark Slashers versus Pars Culture. There's actually a clip that you can see right now, and you can see that in this video there was a Mass Repentance cast. Everyone kind of gets out of it, and you can see, if you look at the DK tank, you can see that DK tank loses HP, and you can kind of see Maiden raising her hand and meleeing. and actually hitting the tank before casting Holy Wrath. So this actually seems to happen a bit. It might be a bug, maybe Blizzard does not intend it to happen, but it happens. It seemed to happen. So people are saying like, is this supposed to, is this even a bug? Should there be a remake? Maybe meta should just lost and things like that. So it's actually funny to see that. How do people usually deal with this kind of thing? So apparently the tank should be taunting the boss right before the stun happens. So the boss will target the tank after the stun. So apparently that's what's supposed to be happening. I'm not sure if this is always the best way to do it. But either way, Naga, who's actually part of the Method rating team, has commented on Twitter and basically called out the Method NA tank for not taunting. There was another tweet that was a bit more harsh, but I could not find it anymore, so the only tweet that I have is this right now. So, but basically he mentioned saying that the tank should tank the boss just in case these kind of bugs or mechanics happen. You should always tank the boss. So, what do you think? What do you think? Should this have been called as a bug? Should the game have been remade? Should the game have been remade, but maybe only Method should have ran the dungeon instead of punishing limits quick, clean runs? I'm really not sure about this, and this has been exploding. People have been really split on this decision. I really want to know your opinions about this. But I think we also have a bonus drama happening. We also have a bonus drama happening because there's been so much drama. So, you know the way that Mythic Dungeons require 5 players, you need a tank, you need things like that? Well, not all teams need 5 players. Not all teams need 5 players. Sinking Ship decided to go with 4. That's right, they went with 4. A Mythic Dungeon Invitational with 4 players. And this is not some crazy hardcore tactic or anything like that. Basically what happened, the Warlock Boom Boom basically rage quit the team right before the match, and the healer from the group has this matches. Basically they were talking with the Warlock was blaming them. There was quite a lot of drama. They wanted to replace the Warlock before, so it all kind of kind of exploded at the worst possible time, and they ended up doing a 4 dungeon, and of course dungeon with 4 players, and of course they lost. So bonus drama happening everywhere. Let me know how you feel about all of this stuff happening. Let me know what's your favorite game in the MDI. Let me know what's your least favorite game. Let me know how you feel about the Method drama. Let me know who's in the right here. Limit did end up leaving the competition. They lost in the lower brackets against Team Omega Sniped. So let me know what should have happened. Thank you for watching this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe and all of that stuff. And thank you guys, and I'll see you in my next guide.